Jesus said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Hey guys, so before we get started, I have a super exciting announcement. I'm about to hit 1 year on YouTube. August 23rd is my 1 year anniversary, which is when this video will be posted, so you guys can celebrate and tell me happy 1 year anniversary. You don't have to, but I'm just saying it would be nice if you did. I can't believe it's already been a year. Like, that kind of is baffling to me. It doesn't feel like it's been a year. And at least now, especially just with 2025, I feel like I've just been more consistent with like putting out more videos and really just falling more in love with recording, editing, just being on there and everything like that. So I'm super happy, I'm super excited, and it's only gonna go up from here, period. And to celebrate my 1 year anniversary, I'm going to be doing a mid-year review of all 26 books I have read so far this year. Now my reading goal is 50, and I was trying to challenge myself to do 75 books, so I am very behind, at least to do 75. I'm only 5 books behind schedule to do 50, but regardless of that, I'm super excited to dive back into these books, so let's get started. My first read of the year was Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. This book was a really good start to the year. I feel like it just set me off on a good kind of like rhythm that I had going. I truly enjoyed it, the entire series as a whole, which of course we'll get into the other books, but just the way Tracy crafted this story and like Bree and everything that she's going through in the book, it's a story that I feel like can resonate with a lot of people. It's just like amazing. My next read was Powerless by Lauren Roberts, and this book was rather lackluster for me. It didn't stand out to me, especially when I think about like all the books I've read so far this year. This kind of doesn't hold its weight, honestly, in this list. It's okay. I probably wouldn't read it again. I am glad that I did decide to at least start it because, you know, it is a rather popular book, you know, on Book Talk and everything, but I do understand what some people say with like comparisons to other books. If I want to read those, like that kind of story, I would just read the books that it's compared to. I wouldn't pick this up. Good Girl Bad Blood was next, and I did really enjoy this book. I have a thing for unhinged women, and Pip slowly but surely was losing her mind in this book, and I just loved it because I feel like what she was going through and like just all the things that was happening, it was like she was trying to keep her sanity within her, but outside circumstances and just other people was kind of making her lose her marbles, which, I mean, wouldn't you too? So after Good Girl Bad Blood, I read Nightbane, which was a book I borrowed from a friend. That book is a definite no. I would not reread it. I just don't care for the whole series in general. Like, Lightlark already was for me, and so then reading Nightbane was really just for the sake of my friend who wanted me to at least read the second book. And if it's possible, I ended up hating the series even more with reading the second book. So that's how I feel. I don't ever see myself finishing that series. And so after Nightbane, I read Crossed. I will not pick this book up ever again. It just made me so uncomfy. Like, I enjoy a good dark romance, but for some reason, like lately, the dark romances I've been reading have really just been like not my cup of tea. It's so weird reading them now, and I don't know if it's just like the language that's being used or if it's this book just in general, like how the guy talks about like the female character and everything. It's just weird, and you can be attracted to people and do the smexy things and all that. That's fine. That's great. You know, go at it. But when you go at it like this, that's when I kind of have to like be like, call the authorities or something. And so after 2 books that I really didn't enjoy, I got to read Onyx Storm, which saved me. Guys, it literally saved me. I loved this book so bad. It's so good. Of course, my tabs, in which I low-key ruined my sprayed edges, but that's okay. I am always in awe of what Rebecca Yarros creates. This was such an anticipated read, so when I finally got it, I was super excited. In a real Rebecca Yarros way, of course, the cliffhanger just is like, she does little things, and as someone who has read more than one of her books, I should know by now that she likes to play with people's minds. She likes to be a little dark and twisty, but you know, that's okay. I really enjoyed Onyx Storm. I'm super excited for the next book to come out whenever that happens, because God knows if she's even working on it right now. But this series is always going to be top tier. Long Shot by Candy Ryan was next, and I have read this book previously and I have talked about it in another video, just like with some of these other books. This is always just going to be one of my favorite books that she's written. I absolutely love characters except for Caleb. We don't talk about him. He's in my mind, he doesn't exist, even though his part is, I guess, rather important for the sake of the story. I actively will always drag his name through the mud. But regardless of that, this is such a heartwarming story in the way of how Iris survives and how she does what's necessary to protect herself and also her child. I can only say my heart goes out to people who have to suffer the way that she does within this story. And I love August down bad. I think I have to give him some little because there are different points where it was like, okay, buddy boy, you need to be a little bit more understanding. Like, sis just went through all of this, and I know you love her and I know you want to be with her and all this stuff, but you have to be able to give her time to find her independence and be able to be like, this is where I am in my life, and yeah, I want you in here, but you've got to meet me like not even halfway, because sis has a long road of rediscovering who she is, but then also, you know, of course, as a mother, just everything that she's gone through. So August sometimes was pushing my buttons and her buttons. I'm like, just let her breathe. Like, you are doing a whole lot right now. But regardless of all of that, I love this book. I would recommend this book to anybody. But for anybody who is sensitive to certain topics, definitely just read it and make sure that you are good before you read this book, because it can be hard at sometimes. And so after Long Shot, I read Aphrodite and the Duke, and then I read The Other Black Girl. Aphrodite and the Duke is a reread, and I really do enjoy this book. It just gives like Bridgerton vibes, but then also Bridgerton vibes, and it's a black romance. 8 down. As far as The Other Black Girl, this isn't a book kind of similar to Powerless that I would be eager to reread. I didn't feel drawn to the story in whatsoever. I was rather confused about what was going on. There were a lot of different point of views that we were in and time jumps back and forth. And so I really couldn't follow what was going on. I didn't enjoy it. And the plot to me just seemed rather strange. I just couldn't pick up on it. Like, I know it's categorized like as a thriller, but I didn't get thriller vibes. I was hoping I would enjoy it a lot more than I did, but unfortunately it's just not up there compared to a lot of other books I read this year. So after those books, I read Little Secrets, and this is also a book I have read previously before. And while I do love this book, I kind of have to agree with some reviews that I have seen on it, and how the real like meat of this book is supposed to be about the fact that Maren and Derek's son has gone missing, but it does get clouded with the fact that Maren finds out that Derek's cheating on her with Kenzie, and it's just like, okay, yeah, but I also understand, because of course with Maren, and it clearly says it like on the synopsis of the book, how her losing her son was something that like she couldn't control. So her finding out that Derek had a little piece on the side, for her, that's like, oh, I can control that. Like, that's something I can handle. I can get my hands on that and do a little rah-rah with it. Like, that's no problem. Her and Derek's relationship really wasn't the same during that time. So him going out and cheating on her, of course, that's not right. Like, that's just making the marriage even more strained at that. And Maren didn't exactly go about it the best way either. But regardless of that, I feel like it kind of goes by quick, just between like all the point of views. You're kind of learning more about the characters and their interactions. So I always will enjoy revisiting this story. I got to revisit the Legendborn Cycle series with Bloodmark. This is the second book of that series, which this one was a doozy. Like, after the events of the first book, I would have thought like, okay, maybe Brianna will have calmed down. Maybe she will kind of be a bit more rational, you know, and in true Brianna ways, that of course was not the case whatsoever. I can't say that I would reread this book. I think the first book is the only one that I would probably reread. It's also just, there's so much like story building, there's so much plot, and it's to the point where while I was reading it, it was almost kind of like, okay, so who's connected here, and what is this power, and what is this bloodline mean? There's so much. If I were to like reread them, I would really just have to set a time apart to like really like read it and like dissect it to understand every like molecule. I finished out A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series with As Good as Dead. This one was also one where Pip was just like off her rocker, man. Babe's a teenager. I don't even think she was 18 maybe, but regardless of like whatever her age was, she had a teen behind it, so that meant she had no business still doing the things that she was doing. This book was really good, and I just liked how it ran together for the last book of the series. My 13th read of the month was Eyes Turn Skyward by Rebecca Yarros. This is probably not a reread. Don't let the tabs fool you. Like, I know I can do my little or whatever, but out of all the books I've read by her, this probably isn't just one that I'm like, I'm just so crazy about it and like I just need to reread it again. I do want to read the rest of the books of the series. I'm just not like so like drawn to what was going on. It's a good book. I really did enjoy it. I think, of course, Rebecca Yarros did a great job writing these characters. It's just not like up there as far as like romance books. There are definitely other books from this year, but then also just books that I've read in the past that I would pick up before I picked up this book. Okay, we're going to start on the second half of the 26 books for the year. And y'all, these next 5 books, these books hit so hard and I love them down. So starting us off strong, I have Wings of Starlight. First of all, I always have to give a moment for the cover of the book. Do you see it? This book is so pretty pie. Even if I didn't like the story, I probably would still say it's one of my favorites because of the cover. But regardless of that, this book is really nostalgic for me. As someone who really loves the Disney fairies, I adored this book. I loved learning more about Clarion and Lord Mallory. It was so cute, so just like heartwarming because they're 2 characters who don't get a lot of screen time, and then at that, a lot of screen time together. So to be able to have a book that just expands on where their love story began and just who they were as individuals, and then when they came together, love, love, love. My next book was Sunrise on the Reaping. Wow, 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 wow. Did this book put me through the ringer, man. I love a good book that's gonna traumatize me. I was boohoo crying after finishing this book. It's amazing, and I cannot believe we have to wait an entire year until we get the movie. That's okay, because I'm going to be one of the first people in that movie theater to see this film. My next 2 reads after those books were Only for the Week and The Perfect Divorce. Only for the Week was a read that I had kept putting off, and I do regret doing that because I just enjoyed it so much. I read this in I think about like 3 or 4 days. I ate it up. I was literally in the car with my siblings going on a road trip, and I told my sister, I was like, oh, this book is juicy. I said, it's juicy and it's messy. It's both. You can't have one without the other. But I absolutely adored this book, and I'm super excited for the next book of the series to come out. And then Miss Sarah Morgan, I am forever in awe of you. I love you down so much. And it's actually so funny. My sister and one of my best friends just read the first book, and they were both texting me like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe this was happening. My friend was literally, as she was finishing the book, just sending me message after message, and I was kikiing the entire time. But I'm so glad they enjoyed it. So I'm like, you have to read The Perfect Divorce. And also, I just saw The Perfect Marriage as the hardcover, and I'm like, you're coming home with me as soon as I'm allowed to buy more books. I really enjoyed this book, and it was just a really good continuation. And like always, Sarah Morgan is a force to be reckoned with. This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan was my next read, and I hold her like this because she's so near and dear to my heart. Miss Soledad made it on her own, and she literally just had to figure out like how to be a mom to 3 girls by herself, dealing with like the aftermath of what Squidward was doing behind the scenes. And it's like, ooh, I hate him so bad. I'm sorry. I just thought about like what he did in this stuff, like how he was treating them, and like I have like anger in my bones right now, but I'm going to relax in Wusa, so I can do this calmly. This is probably my favorite of the Skyland series. I think all of the books in general are definitely worth the read. They're all so good. Because for me, as someone who really enjoys romance books, reading 3 books about 3 women who are, of course, best friends, who live in Atlanta, period, but who are also more mature. They're older women. Soledad and Yasmin both have kids. Hendrix is childless by choice. And so just watching them navigate their lives throughout all of the books, because they are interconnected, I really just enjoy seeing that, because it is a different view on romance and what it looks like when you're a bit older. And I further enjoyed it for the fact of that, you know, a lot of books that I do consume are books with characters who are more so my age, maybe a little bit younger. And so reading these books was better for me, I feel like, because I got a better understanding of what it means to be a bit more mature woman, have more wisdom, have lived more than 20 years, and, you know, have a bit more experience. They're in their careers. And so they know what it's like to have love, to not have love. With Soledad and Yasmin, of course, to be mothers, but they also have experience being wives. It's such a different way of like storytelling that I really enjoyed, because I feel like it's topics that aren't really touched on. So with all that being said, Soledad's story is one that really speaks to me, and I'm just so happy that she found her happy ending and I never have to see Squidward in her life ever again. Next was 7 Days in June, which was a very good read. Oh my gosh, I have heard so many things about this book, so finally reading it was like, oh, I see what all the hype is about. I will say this, if someone were to ask me like what this book is about, I might struggle a little bit with saying it. I might struggle with a lot of these books, let's be honest. But with this book in particular, with what these characters are going through, I definitely need to give it a reread. I was picking up on it and I was understanding, but I don't think I fully empathized with these characters the way that I normally would. So I have to reread it, because I'll have understood these characters a lot better. But definitely, I am so happy I finally read this book, and I will be adding more of Tia Williams books to my bookshelf. I finished out the Skyland series with Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. I think what speaks most to me when I think about Hendrix is just her fire and her passion for the life that she has, and she's not apologetic about it. Like I said earlier, Miss Ma'am doesn't want kids, and she's not gonna let anybody try and convince her. Not everyone's cut out for motherhood, and I feel like that's something that we should normalize a bit more. If a woman doesn't want to have kids, she doesn't have to have kids. Like, it doesn't need to be this, oh my gosh, like, you don't want children? Let's be so for real for a second right now. As someone who does want children in the future, I can completely understand someone not wanting kids. It's a lot, not just like the physical and mental toll it takes on a woman, but then also, of course, like if they're in a relationship, what it can do to a relationship. But can we talk about the expenses? I thought I was expensive as an adult, but children and what they require, the bills, the hospital bills for just giving birth. Regardless of that, she's very clear, and she's not a person to be pushed over, bullied, and I absolutely love that about her. And she's definitely giving rich auntie, which we absolutely love. And what she's tackling in this book, caring for her mother and trying to figure out like her feelings for Maverick and just all the things, I think she came across so much clearer to me. In some of the other books, like, yeah, you get the glimpses of her, and she's the rich auntie, she's the one who's going to give you no BS and like just tell you how it is, and probably be the one where you guys have to be like, okay, like out of all of us, Hendrix is kind of the crazy one. But I really got to see how complex she really is as a character, and what she's going through with her mother, but then also trying to decide whether or not she wants to pursue this thing with Maverick when she knows that it could jeopardize what she wants as far as her career. I actually really love it, because Ms. Ma'am can have both. She can have the man and the career. You can have both. A woman doesn't have to decide whether she wants a career, or she wants the man, or she wants the kids and she wants the career. Like, we can have it all. We can do it all. And there have been women doing it for a lot longer than people like to admit. Hendrix is proof that regardless of the fact of like what happened and like her choosing to have like date Maverick and the deal that she was working on falling through, Miss Man was still successful by the end of the book. She still had her stuff together. Nothing changed for her. It didn't set her back. It didn't make this big life difference for her. She has her man, and she has her career, and it's even bigger and better than it probably would have been with old girl. So let's relax. And if there's any Hendrix haters, come to the front of the class. I'm gonna do these next two books together. I read The Hunger Games and then Catching Fire. If you guys have watched the last two videos, my book versus movie videos, I discussed both of these. And while I actually would reread The Hunger Games, I would not read Catching Fire again. I would rather just watch the movie for Catching Fire. It's literally one of my favorite movies ever. Watch the video and you'll be able to get the whole spiel on those two. But I do love The Hunger Games on an obsessed sort of way. So I was happy to finally dive deep into the books and see where the foundation of the movies came from. So after all of those relatively small, not so complex books, I got to tackle Oathbound, which is Big Gal Bazooka. I love her, but oh my gosh, did it take me a while to get through this book. I wouldn't read this book again now. For the same reasons that I said for Bloodmarked, there's so much going on. There are different time jumps in this book too, and there are a lot of point of views that we are in within this book, and I think reading it once was enough for me. I rather grasp everything pretty quickly. Like, if anything, it's probably Legendborn, Oathbound, and Bloodmarked. I completed the entire Hunger Games series with Mockingjay, and this is another one that I wouldn't read again, but I'm not gonna really get into this because that is going to be my next book versus movie video, so you're gonna have to watch that to find out truly how I feel about this book. So after Mockingjay, I listened to my very first audiobook, which was Reckless by Lauren Roberts, and y'all, 11 hours and 24 minutes. 11 hours and 24 minutes, I listened to that monstrosity of a book. I feel like I'm validated in why I don't listen to audiobooks, which, in that being said, I'm currently listening to The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden on Spotify, and I'm struggling with that one. But regardless, sticking to Reckless, literally listening to Peyton and Kai bleed on basically every chapter, them telling each other that they hate each other, they're going to kill each other, him disarming her, she's disarming him, they're fighting, they're escaping, they're getting caught again. These people get kidnapped for two people. Guys, I'm so passionate about this. For two people who are supposed to be these warriors, fighters, scary people, rah-rah or whatever, they bleed an awful lot and they get kidnapped an awful lot. Aren't y'all supposed to be big man? And honestly, the only part I really enjoyed, because low-key, just riding in the car, listening to it, every time the male actor went, Kai, I had to laugh, and I just imitated him the whole time. It was chapter 34, Kai. And then also the male actor trying to do Peyton's voice, so him doing a squeaky voice, and then Peyton trying to do a male's voice and her voice going all deeper. It was just guys, is this really what's happening? And I'm seeing that's a thing just with The Boyfriend and how the voice actors are doing the other gender's voice or whatever, and it's just I just didn't enjoy Reckless. There's no plot, guys. There's no plot to the book, and there's nothing that we really learn within these books that really moves the story along, in my opinion, besides one thing, which isn't really until towards the end, and then that last little knocker we got. It's literally just them running back and forth all over the place the entire book. Oh, let's pretend, and then make out for a couple of pages, and then we're back to, oh, I hate you, I'm gonna stab you, and I'm going to take care of you because you're bleeding, I'm gonna protect you. Now we're fist fighting. Can we pick a struggle? I just can't get over. I listened to that book for 11 hours 24 minutes and I didn't learn a thing. It furthered my disdain and my lack of enthusiasm to continue on with the series. Someone's going to have to convince me that it gets better, because I have absolutely no hope. Last but certainly not least, my most recent read was A Shadow in the Ember, which thank God, was such a good read. This is probably up there with one of my favorite reads of the year, guys. Like, I loved this book so much, and I have my tabby tabs. I'm learning to kind of make them a bit smaller. I'm not even sure if you can see their little heads coming out, but I really enjoyed this book, the story and everything, the characters, and of course, like, I had those moments where I was like, y'all, like, let's be so freaking for real. I immediately need the second book. Like, I'm almost upset that I don't have it, because I really would have just jumped straight into that one. And I will have to figure out where I'm gonna put these books, because I don't have any more room on my bookshelf. The new bookshelf that I just bought, it's empty primarily because I took these books off of the shelf. But yeah, I won't have anywhere to put this and the rest of the books that I plan on getting as the year goes on. But that is something I will figure out when the time comes. Okay guys, that is the end of today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. As I said in the beginning, I am behind in my goal, so I'm really hoping that I can catch up. We have 133 days left of this year, so if you're falling behind in your reading goal, or if you're exceeding it, kudos to you. Just keep going, don't give up. Be sure you guys are sharing what your reading goal of the year is in the comments. I would love to cheer you on. Let me know also if you've read any of these books, or if any of them are on your TBR. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up, and make sure you're turning on the post notifications so you know exactly when I upload. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and share this with all your friends. I've been Kayla, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!